Hey y'all, it's Kelly from Dixie Darlins, and I'm back today with just a quick little tutorial. So y'all seen me do these burst tumblers before, and I refer to them as a template tumbler. That's just easier for me to remember. But I came across this template from Duncan's Custom Airbrush, and I thought it would be the perfect template to use for an all foil tumbler. So I had done some with foils before, but I'd always incorporated glitter, and I thought this would be the perfect one to do as maybe a Father's Day idea or for the fisherman in your life. And so I reached out to him, and he was kind enough to send me this template, and I told him, I was like, this is so exciting because I'm so excited to do my first all foil tumbler. Well, so I set out to do it that way, and then I saw somebody in his group actually do one that was all Micas, and I was like, well, that's kind of a fun little way to incorporate something in there. So I do go in and add some Micas, and then at the end you'll see I wasn't 100% happy with how it turned out. I felt like you couldn't read the words well enough, so I do go in and actually print those out in vinyl, so you can see how I incorporated a little vinyl into the tumbler as well. So I hope that you guys enjoy it. I will link all the products that I use in the description box below, so y'all make sure to check out those links, as well as I'll include some discount codes for y'all. And if you enjoy my tutorials, please hit the bell button and subscribe so you don't miss my future tutorials. And like I always say, y'all please join my Dixie Darlins Facebook group. We have so much fun over there. It's my opportunity to interact with y'all and hear what it is that will be most beneficial and help y'all, what tutorials you want to see, and then I get to see your creations of what you're inspired to make. So please join us over there. We have so much fun. I go live on Sunday nights and Wednesday nights at 7 p.m. Central Time, and then once a month we have Funful Fridays at 3 p.m. Central Standard Time. So anyway, join us over there, and thank y'all so much for watching, and I hope you enjoy it. Okay, y'all, I'm starting with a 20 ounce skinny straight from Craft Haven. It's my favorite size, definitely, to do these templates with. I've kind of got the sizing down, and it just seems to be a good size and a good surface area to do these templates on. So you can see here, I'm just trying to make sure that it's lined up, and I do cut this on the minus paper setting. Now, I do have a Cricut Air Explorer, and I understand that the Cricut Maker does not have those settings, and so I've seen people cut them with the washi tape setting. So, but on mine, I do use the minus paper setting to cut, and I cut on the top side, which is kind of the not the smooth side, the one that will not stick to your mat. So that's kind of how I figured out. So on these cat scratch sheets that I use, I put the yellow down on the mat and then leave like the slick side exposed on the top, and that's what I'm going to pull off when as I'm foiling the cup. And so I just want to make sure this is lined up. And I do cut this at 9.35 round, so your width by 8.1 height. So that's the size I also use for sublimation, which is perfect for those kind of sheets. These are a little bit stretchy, so sometimes you will have a little bit of overlap. So I just make sure to trim that off. So you'll kind of see that I'll go in, and afterwards I'm just going to trim the little excess off. And then any areas that don't meet up, y'all take your craft knife and just kind of go from one seam to the next to make sure those line up. I'd encourage you to do it on the front end versus the back end. And I'm just going to wrap this around the cup. These are pretty easy if you just pull the backing off and basically press the cup down on your mat or your table. It goes on pretty seamless, I've found, doing it that way. And then any little areas that seem to have bubbles in them, I just kind of press those down and just make sure that it's smooth on the cup before I go into laying the foils. And then any little air bubbles, you can see here, first of all, there is a little overlap. So I'm just going to take my craft knife and I'm going to run that down. I mean, you can see it's just barely a little bit of overlap, but I prefer to have a little bit of overlap that I have to trim off, like a tiny little bit of overlap versus it not meeting on the cup. And then once you get that trimmed, you can see that just pulls right up. The whole little piece there with the tape should just pull up. If there's an area that's not, just go back. And I kind of run my craft knife, lay it flat on the cup, and just kind of cut any little adhesive that's left on there, because you definitely don't want that on there. It'll present a problem once you start layering, your foils or glitter or whatever it is you're using. And then, y'all, I'm going to time lapse through a lot of this, or I'm going to speed it up just because I know that you guys don't really want to watch all of this. I just start with the water. So I decided I wanted to do those first, and I'm basically just going to kind of tell you guys what color I'm using. I'm going to do a teal waterfall for the water, and then blue bubbles. And both of these foils you can find at Southern Belle Glitter. All the foils you'll be able to find. So I know that you guys don't want to watch this whole process, so I'll kind of just do bits and pieces, but the main thing is you can kind of see the order in which I go is the main thing I felt like y'all probably wanted to see, and then the colors that I use. And y'all know, as always, I will not tell y'all a lie. There is some time involved in this. The water was a little more tedious than I probably anticipated, and you will see me take this little tool. This is actually, you can get this for like clay sculpting, and they're just little silicone tools on one end, and on the other end they're basically dotting tools. So they're two-sided, and I just find these on Amazon. I will have them linked in my Amazon's favorite things list in the description box below. You can check that out, but I'm definitely not going to show you guys all this art. I mean, I think the actual full recording was several hours. So it is a little time consuming. I just wanted to give y'all a heads up. You know, for me, it always helps me when I go into it mentally to know how much time is going to be involved. So I don't start a project that I know I'm going to need a lot of patience in until I'm kind of mentally ready there, if that makes sense. So I just wanted to go ahead and warn y'all. I love the finished product, but this was a little time consuming. So after I have the blue bubbles, I'm going to go back in and I'm going to pull the other pattern here that I kind of did one of the water portions, the blue bubbles, and now I'm going to go back in with the teal waterfall. And you guys will be able to see from the finished product how exactly I do this, like how I decided. I just basically, I don't think it really mattered which one was which. I just kind of started with a darker color and then went to the teal waterfall after that. They're all going to blend in together, so you can really do it however you guys feel that you want it to look, and you can really use any colors that you want to. Those are just some of the ones that I decided on. And then you'll see here I'm actually using this brown burnishing tool that comes with with some of my rub-on transfers from Southern Belle Glitter. I'm actually using this one this time because I'm laying it up against the blue, and this just seemed to work better for me than the little sculpting tool once you were laying one color up against another. And then after all the water's finished, there was actually outlines around the fish that I decided to use this really pretty Chameleon on. It's kind of a purpley shift that I thought would kind of blend in, but you still would notice the outline of the fish. So the main outline is done in the blue bubbles, but then there's kind of this secondary outline that I decided to do in this really pretty Chameleon. And then next I'm actually going to do the main part of the fish here, and I'm going to go in with this green tie-dye. It's a really pretty foil, and all these foils are from Southern Belle Glitter. And this is a really pretty green tie-dye that has a gold in it that I thought would kind of mimic the colors of a fish. So I was just going to go with it and hoped that it looked good, and I'm actually really happy with the way it turned out. I think it was the perfect foil for the fish. It does kind of mimic the different shades that a fish would have, so I'm really happy that I decided to go with that one. Then next, there's some details around the fish on the fins and the tail that I decided to do these bronze bubbles with that I thought were really pretty, that would provide a good accent as well. And I just like the little bubbles. I think they're fun. And a cup like this, y'all, I really love because if there are colors of foils that aren't available, or you can't find them, or they're no longer in stock, then there are so many options that you can use. So I try to use colors that were very flexible, that there are other options out there that you can use to kind of create the similar looks. And then, of course, like I always tell you guys, like, it's your interpretation. There's no right or wrong here. You could use so many different color variations on this. It would be so fun. And then next I'm going to go in for their eyes, and I used the antique mirror, y'all, sorry, foils. All of them are from Southern Belle Glitter, as I've said before, but I think this is antique mirror, and I really like this. It's a silver that has like a gold crackle through it, so I thought it'd be good for the fish eyes. And then I also used that same color. There's kind of an outline for the words here, fish on. And so I'm going to use this to kind of outline the little hook that's around that area right there. So I also use the antique mirror for that as well. So now we're going to get to the fun part. You can see where I actually did the body of the fish, just so y'all can see. I've pulled off the white area there, and I'm just going to use Woody's Goodies Micas. And this is Outer Space. It's a really pretty black. And I thought it would be the good accent for this purple tie-dye that would kind of mimic a fish. So this is Outer Space. It's by Woody's Goodies Mica. It's a mica. And I really love this color. And I really love how it did turn out really good with the green tie-dye for the perfect accent for what a bass fish actually looks like, kind of in my mind, as close as you can get it with, you know, foils and micas. So you basically, I just took a paintbrush and I just brushed it on, y'all. It doesn't really stick to anything around it. I basically just brushed it right on the adhesive and it stuck really well. It doesn't give you, obviously, like the dark coverage that you would see when you add it into epoxy, but it was actually the perfect accent for the fish. It was more of like a gray color once you put it on the double-sided adhesive sheets. So I just brushed that on. You can kind of blow off the excess or just brush off the excess, but I didn't really have a problem with it sticking to the foils, but it did stick really good to the adhesive. And then next I'm actually going to outline the words or the hook that's around these words. And I'm going to use, again from Woody's Goodies, I'm going to use Magical Gold. So I actually end up doing the words and kind of around the fish hook with this Magical Gold. So this is the color that I decide that it didn't really stand out enough, so I go back and layer on the words. But I do use this Magical Gold to fill in the rest, and I think it was just really pretty. It was a pretty little additive without adding sparkle, so it wouldn't turn this from a guy's cup to a girl's cup. And so you can see here, I've just filled that in. Same thing, I've just taken my paintbrush and I've just brushed it right on. You can see I kind of blew it off a little bit. That gets off the excess. I didn't have any problem with it sticking either to the foils. And I didn't seal them or anything. I am going to go into a layer of epoxy here. I wasn't sure what I wanted to do with the fish on. I thought, let me put epoxy on it and see if I like it like this. So I do go in with a layer of Counterculture's medium viscosity artist resin. I mix up about 20 milliliters, and that's what I'm going to apply to the cup. I'm going to use my torch to pop any bubbles, and then I let this dry for about 8 hours, and then I am going to go in and layer some vinyl on top of the words. And just because after I got the last coat of epoxy on there and I wasn't crazy about the words, I feel like you just couldn't really see them well enough, I do go into my Cricut design space and I pull up my template again, and because I know what my sizing is, that it's that 9.35 by 8.1, I resize my template to that, pull it back up again, and then in design space you can contour out whatever elements of the graphic that you don't want to use. So I actually contour everything out except for the words and basically just the fish on. So I got rid of everything else just because I didn't want to waste all my vinyl and cut all that out again. So I just cut the words out, and I'm going to apply them right on top of where the words are on there from the original template. And you can see I kind of did this in pieces. I felt like the blue would show up better, and it was very similar, this blue holographic vinyl, to the blue bubbles that I had used. So I kind of do it in pieces just because I want it to line up really well. And you can see if you have to go back in there and take your craft knife just to kind of get it to line up right over there. I wanted it to match pretty good. Sometimes that's hard when you're weeding out little pieces, little words like this. So it took a little time, but I did replace all the words with vinyl on top. And then I'm going to go into another layer of epoxy. I'm again using Counterculture's medium viscosity artist resin. I use about 20 milliliters. I let this coat dry for about 6 hours, and then I do go in. And then I also foil the bottom, y'all. I'm sorry I didn't record that. I basically just take a foil adhesive that I got from Southern Belle Glitter. You could use a spray adhesive. You could use, I've been saying that you could use Tack-It and some other adhesives, and somebody said don't tell people to use Tack-It because they're not going to get the effects that you get. So you can use Tack-It. It doesn't seem to provide as good as coverage. I thought it was kind of turned into a sticky mess for me personally, but if you've had good luck with it, you could use any kind of adhesive like that. And there's also one that I have linked in my favorites things list that's from Deco Foil. It's the Duo And then Wicked Shimmer also has a Wicked Stick It adhesive that works really well. So I did just go in with that Teal Waterfall and the blue bubbles on the bottom to cover the bottom around to the sides. So I'm going to do this layer of epoxy. I'm going to use my torch to pop any bubbles, and then I will let that dry for 6 hours. I'll go in with another layer, and then you're going to have my final design. And so I hope that you guys enjoyed this. I thought it was a lot of fun. I thought it would be a great addition for a Father's Day tumbler if you're looking for some ideas, or just for the man in your life that doesn't have glitter. So I hope that you guys enjoy it.